Good morning and welcome. My name is Don Popple and I'm your chairman today. The Committee of the Adjustment meeting for October 11th, 2023 will now come to order. A notice to all those in attendance at this meeting will be live streamed on YouTube and recorded. And please note that the recording will be linked to the municipal website following the meeting. Our committee today consists of Mr. Barry Boyce, who is a councillor of Ward 5, Barry? Ward 5. And Mr. Chris Bishop, who is an appointee. And we also have our Director of Planning, Mr. Jeff Isles, and we have Adam Mayer, who is number 2, I guess. I don't know how far down the ladder he is, but he seems to be coming up fairly quick. Anyway, this is a public hearing to consider 2 applications for a minor variance to the municipality zoning bylaw. It's the committee's responsibility to consider all information received to date regarding the requested variances and to hear and consider any comments or questions provided by these applications. Any variances granted by the committee must meet 4 tests, which are very clearly defined in the Planning Act. The request must be minor in nature, be desirable for the proper development of the land, comply with the general intent of the official plan, and comply with the general intent of the zoning bylaw. Please note, if anyone wishes to be notified of the decision, make a request in writing to the municipality. Does either committee member wish to declare any conflict of interest? No, so. That would be conflict of interest was denied. Any oral or written submission received in advance of the meeting will be verbally read aloud at the time the application is considered. All persons who are pre-registered will have an opportunity to present or ask questions about the proposals. Please direct your questions and comments to the chair. Each registered person will have up to 5 minutes to provide comments or ask questions. Once finished speaking, the meeting host will mute your microphone. And that's Adam's job. So if we think you're going to carry on forever, you gotta get ready because it just goes like that and you can't talk anymore. Please state your name in relation to the application prior to speaking. Well, you're all sitting here. The first application that we're dealing with is D13 MV 2023-2168036 Ontario Limited. And we'll start with the applicant, Mr. DiCarlo. I need a motion and a seconder to adopt the minutes of Committee of Adjustment of September 13, 2023 be adopted. Moved by Barry, accepted by Chris. There you go. We're all set. So ready to go then? So, Mr. DiCarlo, you start off explaining to the committee. We've got the notes and everything else, but what it is you're proposing, and then these gentlemen can will have their if they want to question anything, you direct your questions to me. Okay, you understand that? Okay, go ahead, Ben.
Peter and Lori.
Oh yeah, these guys. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So yeah, so Ben
Pull
is
that
not,
microphone so that we can hear you. Yeah.
so Ben is not here. He wasn't able to make it today. But Ben is our architect. He's a local architect who I guess has drawn up the plans. But again, he's not able to make it, so we're here ourselves. We're the owners of the cottage. So sorry, so what exactly do you want us to explain? I guess the thought process behind the location of the garage?
Yeah.
Okay. So the way Ben had explained it to us basically is, well, we wanted a garage. We have a couple of options. I guess one being a double story, one being a single story. We decided to go with a single story garage. That's what it's a 2-car garage. I think the length is 25 feet if I'm not mistaken. And again, So we placed it in a spot where we got a shared, I guess, with the key. And again, we don't know exactly what it exactly means, but there's an easement between the two properties. We felt that was a good spot to put it. I know that the neighbors, you know, obviously it's, if you do the driveway with us, we're just trying to find, I guess, the solution to ensure that we're happy with what we're proposing. But yeah, so I guess we looked at some of the comments and we did address the comments and again, come to a solution where we can go.
So have you considered any other sites on your property other than what you're proposing?
We considered closer to the roadway.
Which
And
roadway though? The traveled roadway, like the right of way?
the traveled roadway.
Traveled roadway,
Right.
okay.
We considered that. And after speaking to some of the local contractors, there is the bearing capacity, there's bad soil in that part of it. And again, we thought this would be the best spot along with the architect. This is also, he advised us, he said, you know what, this would be a good spot to put the garage in, and that's how we chose it.
But you want to be right tight to the right of way, is that correct?
I'm not sure, I don't know.
So no, we don't want to be right tight to the right of way.
No, you're asking for a variance, but it's like 15 feet, is that correct?
Correct, more or less, yes, so I believe the bylaw was 7.5 meters away from the traveled portion of the right of way, am I
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And I think we are set somewhere, it's hard to tell, but we're set somewhere like 3 to 4 meters in our plan right now. So that's where we were proposing to build, and I guess that's why we're here, to try to negotiate, if we can at all, a distance up to that traveled portion of the right of way.
Well, the lot is a fairly large lot, is it not?
Yes,
So why would you not consider putting it on a different portion of the lot that doesn't interfere with the right of way?
different areas of the lot, like Danny was saying, the soil conditions are poor, and they won't I guess they could support, but they won't support it right, like you know, whatever we do there, a floating slab or you know, to that nature, like we've picked a spot where the soil is you know, harder, or will accept it, right? And as far as the layout goes too, just in terms of appeal, or you know, the way it looks as a whole, the way it was designed, right?
Well, apparently your neighbor doesn't think it works at all.
Right, I can understand.
You can understand that?
I
So
can
that-
understand the part of it, yes, being interfering with the right of way,
Well, you can't interfere with right of way.
exactly.
So that's just a given.
Yeah.
Okay, do you wish to comment to that?
Sure, yeah, a couple comments. Yeah, I mean, there was a survey submitted that showed the right of way, the used right of way, which I am in question because I don't know who decided that this was the used right of way, because we used the right of way and we weren't consulted about how we used the right of way.
Right.
And when we used the right of way, we park in front of our cottage and then we back out there and we turn towards the lake on the right of way so that we can go forward out of our driveway, because I've never backed out. It's too difficult to back out along 40 whatever. It's difficult to back out. all
Be
the
like
time.
backing all the way to Minden.
Right, yeah, so we always exit the property forward, obviously you get on the road, you know, traffic, it's much easier, and we use that turnaround for the boat. And, you know, if you have a trailer, we have a little trailer, or carry some wood or, you know, gravel, whatever. I use that right away to back into and go out, so we use it constantly, so yes, what they showed was when you come in, you turn and you go straight to a driveway, but you don't go the same way out backwards all the way out. You
Right,
you
right.
back out this way and you go that way. So that's what we were concerned about and that we would like maybe, you know, a little bit of buffer zone from that right away, not right to the hairy edge of it, you know, right to 0 feet, right? Just in case for maintenance, whatever have you, you have equipment. I don't want to do any damage to the garage. I don't want, you know, if you accidentally go over, you don't have to say I would, but you know, that's our concern. And it is a big garage.
Yeah, I know, I can
It's-
see that, yeah.
It's bigger than the house. And it's 3 times my garage. I don't know if it needs to be that big. If they can go. You know, like 10 feet away, like they're suggesting 10 feet away from the used right away, which would be the actual right away, 10 feet back from that. You know, that would be okay
Okay,
in our minds.
Question, what's the distance between the proposed garage and the house? Side of the scene here? Yeah, we have-
I think it's about 15,
Oh, yeah, so.
15 feet or
15 feet.
somewhere around there.
Before I got you there, sorry, 4.9. 4.39.
Sorry, the 4.39 meters is to the deck, right? Then there's a deck there, right?
Deck. I just, could the building be moved closer to the, take up some of that space? Oh, it's 15 feet from the deck, but I'm just. that's the
Yep.
Question. If it came over 5 feet, then it'd be 5 feet more separation.
It's an option that we kind of tossed around with the architect, and yes, it's an option. We just felt that having the space between the two structures visually would be nice, and also if we ever wanted to get back there, we just felt that, you know, like we need, but we can definitely, you know,
Could be considered. I mean, I was up this morning, look around, and the spot in behind, yes, it's a little bit hurt, but you said you talked to someone and said it's not good soil. I mean, it seemed more, again, soil expert, right? It seemed like the normal part of the lot, is it, what's the difference in the ideal differences?
the bearing capacity, and again, I'm not a geotechnical engineer or anything like that, but the bearing capacity of the soil, to the point where we just spoke to an individual here in town that has these helical piles. Basically, the portion of the cottage that's existing, the back portion has been shifting just because of poor soil conditions. So the further we go towards the street, the worse the bearing capacity of the soil gets, and the more we're incurring cost. Again, the back portion of the cottage is leaning about 3.5 inches, that when which we're fixing it, and you know, we just, you know, the costs are getting.
What's the size of the garage that you're proposing?
Size?
Yeah, how many square feet?
I believe that it's 32 by 33. And that kick out there was, I believe, was eliminated. I don't have the this kick out was eliminated, I believe, but roughly it's 33 by 32.
So 336, 336.
So the main concern
So
for.
10,000, it can't be, it's 1,000 square feet,
1,000
is
square
it?
feet.
1,056? Okay, go ahead,
So the
Chris.
concern for the neighbor is that when you're backing up your car, you won't be able to angle it and then come back out. Basically, that's it. That's it. And in your driveway, I took some pictures, but I didn't look at that close. Is there an option in your driveway to do something to expand the driveway a bit, that you could actually do a turnaround at the house? You have to pick up the grass and put it out there and something like that. Is that, I'm just. If there was some cost to be incurred there. I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate there. Would the neighbor be okay to change the driveway, whether you'd be accepted or not? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. If there was a cost to do something to expand their parking so that they could turn the car around right at the cottage as opposed to having to back out. Is that something that you might be interested? You'd have to say you're interested in paying for it, and you have to say whether you're interested in doing it.
I think hearing the option, it's definitely an option. Just again, we came here with an open mind,
Yeah.
trying to understand. But yeah, if an option is to create this turnaround, there's this turnaround on the property, and there's costs incurred with gravel, we'd definitely be here to, listen to what that takes.
And from your perspective, would that be something that you would be willing to work with?
No,
No. I'm just asking.
I mean,
asking.
we use the area and whatever.
Right.
Go ahead, John.
Can I just have some clarity on the size of the garage, because it looks like it's 39 feet,
Well, 39 by,
not 33 on one side. Is this the visual impact, how big it is also that's a concern? So it looks like it's 39 on one side and maybe 33 on their side, and then 32, right? Unless that kickout's not there any longer.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to, because after the, when the hydro came in to do the hydro came in to do a pole in that area. So now, we may not be able to do that kick hole because the hydro pole has the guide wires, yes. And so that might not be there anymore, that kick hole, because there's a setback from that as well that we have to go by. So, I wish Ben was here. He's not here. That would be, he would know that.
And
Well,
just for-
so it looks like a 10 by 6 kick out there.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, it's maybe too close to the guy line. So you're thinking that the kick out is gone,
Yeah.
which would make it 32 by 33.
Yeah, that's
39 if the kick out is still there.
correct.
Yes, if I may, I just want to point out for everybody, in terms of the size and the location in relation to the side lot line setback, the garage does comply with the zoning bylaw. So
Yeah.
they are permitted to build within 1 meter as long as it's 1 story. They are permitted to build within 1 meter of the side lot line. They are also permitted to build a garage of that size too. So I don't think that's what's in question today. And if I could add a couple more comments, Chris, in terms of, I appreciate looking for a compromise too, but I think it's important to recognize that the neighbors do have a legal right of way, or at least my understanding is that they have a legal deeded right of way over that section of the applicant's property. So it's important to recognize that. One thing that jumped out at me today is the request is for a 3-meter setback from the edge of the traveled portion of the right of way. And based on what I'm hearing from the neighbors, that edge of that traveled portion is in question. I think it's really important that we determine the accurate location of the edge of that traveled portion, because that is where the setback is measured from. So they've requested 3 meters. The committee could grant 3 meters, but where's the 3 meters being
Yeah, where's
measured
it
from?
from?
So I think that's one of a very important piece of information that we need to resolve.
Well, only one way of doing that, and that is to visit the site. Is that not correct? Well, that's
Yes,
just-
you
well,
could inspect the site and.
we're not
and we
gonna
could have
solve
all
this
parties
today then.
available too.
That's what I was thinking, that this gray area is where is the edge of the travel portion. And once we determine that, once we look at it on site, 3 meters might be fine, that's fine.
Mhm.
That's where we stand anyways, but I mean, to get that, we had just got it surveyed before we started all this, so there still are steel posts. We would have to find them or call a surveyor again and get that post put in.
Yeah, and I was just gonna recommend that if
Yeah.
it's possible to have the edge of the right of way as well as the edge of the traveled portion
Absolutely.
staked, so that when we get on site, we can see what we're looking at, and then, because it might be that there's no issue, if the edge of the traveled portion satisfies the neighbors, and you are gonna be 3 meters from that, then there might not be an issue today. I just think it's important that we determine where that edge of that traveled portion is, just so that we have, the committee can make an accurate decision.
Well, I would say that you might have something to say, and, so you can arrange that,
Yep,
council those two spots. And we'll take a suitable time when the neighbors and all of us will be there. And we'll try to get it for the reasonable. Sorry, I didn't get muted. Did you hear all that anyway?
yeah.
We did.
I can't remember what I said now, but that's all right. Anyway, if we meet on the site, if you make the arrangements and then contact Jeff when the travel portion of the road and all those are clear. And we'll come and everybody at this meeting will come. And so what I would suggest is we defer this until the next meeting based on the site visit and the results of the site visit. Jeff?
And if I may, before there's a motion, so as required by the Planning Act, I just want to note that we did provide notice as required. In addition to the comments received from the neighbors and the applicant today, we did receive a letter from Dwayne McCutcheon, who is the individual responsible for maintenance of the right of way. And he did not indicate any concerns regarding the proposed location. I also think it might be important to go through the recommended conditions today. They
Okay.
might change after a site inspection, but staff have recommended 8 conditions that are in the planning report. And I just want to outline them so that the committee can consider them and perhaps the applicants and the neighbors can consider
ahead.
them before the next meeting. So bear with me, I'm going to go through all 8 one at a time. The recommended condition number 1, the variance applies to a garage as shown generally on the property sketch dated July 14th. Any encroachment beyond the variance granted herein will require a further application for a minor variance. Condition number 2, the County of Halliburton Shoreline Tree Preservation Bylaw applies. The injuring or destruction of trees within 30 meters of the high water mark is not permitted. The exemptions noted in section 3 of that bylaw apply. Furthermore, additional native shoreline planting is encouraged to screen the buildings, naturalize the shoreline, and address environmental concerns. Condition number 3, during construction, proper site preparation and construction methods are to be used to prevent sedimentation of the adjacent lake. Sediment fencing should be installed down gradient during construction. The site is to be properly stabilized immediately following construction to prevent erosion and sedimentation. Condition number 4, prior to the pouring of footings, the applicant must submit confirmation from an Ontario land surveyor that the garage meets the granted street setback. Condition number 5, prior to the pouring of the footings, the applicant must submit confirmation from an Ontario land surveyor that the garage is not located on the legal right of way. Condition number 6, by July 1st, 2024, the owner shall repair the shoreline vegetation buffer to a natural state using native vegetation to the required buffer width of 20 meters measured from the high water mark. Condition number 7, the applicant shall not park vehicles, store items, or encroach on the legal right of way. And lastly, condition number 8, prior to the pouring of footings, the applicant must bring the dock located within the side lot line setback into compliance. Thank you. And we can provide these to you. They're on the agenda. So if you want to go and read them and digest them instead of listening to me, we can provide that to you. Just let me know.
So if we do approve something, those are the conditions that will apply.
They're recommended by staff. It is up to the committee.
Any
to determine
question
what
with
conditions
respect
they
to any of
want.
that?
Sorry, one question.
Yep.
Talked about footings. If and when this garage gets built and we'll decide on the location, but the garage will not have any footings. It's a slab. Do we have to abide by those, even though there's no footings? Do we assume that applies?
No, that should be okay. So what we used to always say is prior to the issuance of a building permit that you must provide confirmation from an Ontario land surveyor But then the building department would go out there and say, well, there's nothing, or the surveyor would go out there and there's nothing to reference that it complies with that setback. So you may want to stake where you're gonna pour that pad and then have an OLS confirm that. But we can probably tweak the wording of that just to say prior
It
to
does-
pouring the pad.
And usually in a engineered slab, there is actually a footing, and all it is a deepened footing around the outside of the, so your slabs here. Your footing might be a little bit like this deep on the outside of the thing, so that's,
So still technically a footing.
there's still technically a
Okay,
footing,
good.
other than the fact it's not 4 feet deep, it's this deep kind of thing.
And the way we word it, the reason we word it that way is because that's the first time our building department will inspect your building. Is before you can pour those footings, they'll come out just to make sure your footings are formed properly.
Question?
The next meeting is November 8th, so keep that timeline in mind if you'd like to return to November 8th. If we're gonna be doing a site visit.
The big fella up there is probably gonna line some snow down here well before that, so.
Kind of depends on when you can get this thing. Now, you had it surveyed at one time, is that,
Yeah.
so the right of way has been surveyed?
Well, I wouldn't, well, yes, it's, I have it here, right? I have the survey here. Now, this is like on site itself, to determine, if someone who can read this and determine where the right of way is, you know, a picket. But we have everything right here, like done professionally in the survey company from Miller. It's all done, and it wasn't done long ago. It was done before we started any construction.
Did-
addition.
Excuse me, did you guys see that then, that survey or
Where the
like,
stakes were.
where the stake physically see it on your?
I see the stakes on the property line. They
Okay.
Put the stakes along there. But the metal stakes and the wooden ones actually.
Yep.
painted. But I haven't seen anything like as far as what is the right of way, staking out what the right of way
Yes.
is.
And
He's right.
he's right,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, absolutely. I can't even tell legally where the travel portion of the right of way is exactly. I can't unless someone actually goes and. But I guess they have the references now to find that easily, because
Right.
they are there. The pickets are there. Okay.
Sorry, and again,
Well, that's why you probably paid the guy.
Yeah.
but we've got a survey that shows what I see is the traveled right away. That's on the survey. That's the way I see it. So we're gonna go out there and I'm okay. Like at the end of the day, we don't want to disrupt, a lot of what's been going on but isn't this what the right of way and is on this plan?
I don't know.
I would believe so. I don't know if anyone here has.
Well,
the
looks,
expertise to-
looks like, just Jeff and I just had a quick, Jeff can jump in here at any time. But it looks like you've got like the surveyed right away, which is, does anybody see where it actually gives a width?
If you wanna take a look at this one, this one's big. You wanna peek at this one, out of the big. The right of way and travel portion.
Yeah, so there's two different things in play here. So there is the legal boundary of the easement. So, and that is marked on there. And it looks like it's about 7.62 meters wide, so about 25 feet wide. But there's something different, which our bylaw measures from. It's the edge of the traveled portion of the right of way. And it is shown on here as marked up by the surveyor on here. But I think as the neighbors have said, it's being debated. So even though it might clearly be visible that where it's always, where they always pull into their property, what they're saying is they back out and while still using the right of way, they're kind of they're backing out off what is being showed as the edge of the traveled portion of the right of way. So that would still qualify as the edge of the traveled portion of the right of way, even though they're doing an egress instead of ingress. So I think that's a good reason for a site inspection. I think.
Well, there's no question about that. We're talking about the sky and the moon, like,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they need to go to the expense to get the surveyor out again to show the actual right of way versus the traveled portion. We're more interested in looking at the traveled portion of the right of way, really, right?
Yep.
So maybe I'm wrong, maybe we need that survey, but that's my question anyway.
Well, you might as well figure that out at the same time. Like that guy that did the survey, you're gonna have to get him back. Or somebody like him. I mean, there are surveyors in Halliburton too, so.
Yes. All local surveyors. Really what we need is, am I right by saying one reference of most? Sorry. So we need one reference of the most northern part of the traveled portion of the right of way. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so once we have that reference on site. In the ground, then we can have this meeting on site, correct?
Right.
Okay. Okay. So that's what we should do.
How do we go about determining that?
Gotta have a
That point.
surveyor.
But how does the surveyor know where we travel on the right of way? Like, how
Well,
does
so
he-
it must have been done initially. Oh, sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
No, I agree with the neighbors here. So the surveyor can accurately determine the edge of the legal easement, but the edge of the traveled portion of the right of way is gonna be more of an eyeball test. And if the applicants are on, I mean, the neighbors are on site and show us how they back out of the driveway where they're backing out.
That's the
it's gonna
traveled
show where
portion.
The edge of that traveled portion is. As long as they're staying on their right of way and following what the legal requirements of that.
I
right of way.
did submit pictures of,
Showing.
in the pictures in the
Yeah.
meeting, if you saw, that's how we back out. And the truck where it stops, that's the absolute end of the right of way. And that's where I pull out.
Well, that's why we want you at the meeting.
Yes. And then I go forward. That's typically how I do it. I mean, yeah, that's where you saw where the truck was. I back out there and then I go forward. That's how I always routinely exit the property.
Well, I don't think we can solve this until we get that information. So go ahead.
And I saw the picture, we looked at the picture, so my question is, if we're able to maintain the 3 meters, and so Peter can back out, and I don't want to disturb what Peter's, if he can still back out and do his rear reverse and then go forward. And I saw the 3 meters, if we can keep that 3 meters, and we cannot park any cars in front of this garage. You just said that before, we cannot block with any kind of cars or material or machinery. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna put signage and nobody can block that. Not our
That's
guest.
why it's called a right of way. The shared properties, right?
So I cannot block it and,
No.
my neighbors cannot block it either. So we'll put signage there. But if we're able to maintain this 3 meters that Peter has rolled from, that I saw, is that okay? Because we've been telling the art story, and again, Ben is not here. We've told the architect, what does it do if we maintain this 3 meters? Does it really hurt us? So we should get an answer, like hopefully today if we can, but if we're able to keep that, does that make our neighbors and you guys happy and move on with this?
I think we better get the information we need. What's your call, Jeff?
Well, if I could comment on that, it's up to the committee to decide whether that 3 meter buffer from the edge of the traveled portion is sufficient, but in terms of prior to making the decision, I think it's important to mark where the edge of that traveled portion is on the site plan. Because the site plan forms part of that decision, so that when you apply to the building department to get your building permit, they're gonna see that edge of that traveled portion as agreed to by everybody, as opposed to you agreeing that they back up and then you'll do 3 meters from there. I think it needs to be shown on a site plan just to help the building department.
Well,
Are
the
you
last
guys
thing you
okay?
want to do is build it and then find out you put it in the wrong spot. Because everybody gets ugly then.
So, may I, on the survey, there is I don't know if I'm referencing this is right. It's called it a picket. Right, on the sideline. You see where it says 80.37, and then right to the left of it, there's a picket. Okay, so if that picket is on site, and we can simply scale this to scale and measure back from that picket, we know the traveled portion of the right of way, correct? Without hiring a surveyor, let's say.
So look,
Can-
looks
are we-
like,
can we
looks
do
like
that?
the corner of your garage is straight across from that picket. Is that what you're seeing?
More or less, yes,
Okay.
that's the way,
Okay,
yes.
so we could use that as a reference point then for the corner of your garage. We can measure back 3 meters from that corner. They're meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but they're gonna meet the sideline issue is okay, right? Which is what? So how many meters from the sideline do they have to be?
If it's a one-story garage, just 1 meter.
Yes.
Okay, so 1 meter, so we could go 1 meter over from that picket. Say that's the corner of the garage, we could measure back 3 meters from that point. And then you guys would have to say yes or no. And,
Right.
and, okay, so I don't think, I really don't think we need to get a surveyor out there, maybe at this particular time. I think we could take a stab at it, and do it ourselves, if that's okay, if that's. As long as we can find that picket. Yeah.
I believe it's
Which-
still there.
And you guys are pretty confident that it's there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a surveyor, but I remember it's there.
Yeah,
It's,
that's fine.
And before
Yeah.
the snow, I'd like to relocate it again, and maybe we could get this thing rolling. right?
I'm okay with that. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah,
That
but
it's-
that's because I think, I always thought that picket, that location is actually the end of the right of way.
Yes,
the True right of way.
yes,
And
yeah,
then-
the right of way wouldn't extend beyond that towards the lake.
So from the survey, I understand that's where it is.
Yep.
And we know where that is.
Yep,
You see the
okay.
mark, and that's where I always. planned.
Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Is your concern that if people were to park cars at the end of the garage, then there would definitely be not any room to back in? Yes, that's your concern. And you said you're gonna put signs there for, is that, for people that aren't, is it?
For guests.
For guests.
No,
For guests.
no parking, right?
Okay.
We don't want parking there.
And as long as they all abide by it, fine. As soon as they don't, then that's what creates.
Yeah,
that-
but
you see
we're
where-
also
That's where you
concerned-
see where
I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
we're not gonna own this for life.
Yeah.
I mean, our new tenants, their new tenant, new people that,
Yeah.
they do sell. They have to abide by the same rules, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, like, but there's no guarantee. Yes, that's all.
If I may, just for clarification, so are you suggesting that you're willing to have this 3 meters from the actual legal boundary of the right of way where that picket is, where the bar is?
Okay, no. Peter's picture is from the travel portion of the right of way, which is the dotted line that's, the one that's oddly shaped, not rectangular.
No, that's not my picture.
Oh, no?
No, my picture is right to the end of the true right of way, right to the face of your garage, where you would want to put it.
We're done.
My trailer hitch would be just almost touching your garage door. And let's say, that's where I parked, right there. I had Lori stand where that thing is, and then I went and backed up to right where that post is.
Can I ask Peter a question? Can I direct it to him? Okay, so Pete, this is your picture, right?
Turn your mic on.
So-
please. Just turn it
Sorry, so Pete, this is your picture, right? Now, the 3 meters you drew there.
I didn't, no, that's your original.
Oh, okay, got you. All right. So, but you're seeing, so what are you seeing from your picture that you want this back more?
I'm saying that
A mistake.
the right of way goes right to the face of your garage, right?
Yes,
And I said, I back up and I go right to the edge of that
okay,
to go exit forward.
right.
And then we're saying we're fine with, you want 3 meters. But 3 meters from the right of way.
Yes.
That is used, which we say we use right to the edge, so 3 meters back.
One
So
mistake.
you're technically speaking, your garage would be chopped off 3 meters. From the face.
So you would want this garage back 3 meters more, you mean?
Yes,
Oh, so 3 meters more than this picture.
yes,
Just
Oh, I
where
see.
The stake is, go back 3 meters.
Yeah.
Just-
Back 3 meters from the stake. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay.
So if you guys can make sure that when we go out there, between the two of yous, if you just make sure that you can find that stake and agree on it,
Mhm.
okay? All right,
Okay.
and then we can have a look at it.
We'll give that a shot.
Is that all right with you, all you guys?
Someone move for deferral. Moved by Barry and seconded by Chris. that the decision is deferred based on a site visit. So if we coordinate this with Jeff and make sure that the four of you people can be there and the four of us can be there, 5 of us.
I'm not available next week, but I definitely am available anytime early the following week.
Okay, well, as long as Jeff knows that, then my dance car is far from empty, so.
Yeah, Adam and I will coordinate with everybody just to make sure everybody's able to attend.
So is that motion carried?
Yep.
Be resolved, the committee, it's moved and seconded, the committee's decision with respect to file D13 M 2023-20 be recorded as follows. The variance of section 3.30 C to permit a garage to have a street setback from the edge of the traveled portion of the right of way of 3 meters or 9.8 feet, as opposed to permitted 7.5 meters or 25 feet, is deferred. Carried. Thank you very much for your attendance and your information, and we'll see you out on the site within the next 3 weeks or so. Anytime before, the next meeting is November, what is that, write it down, November 8th, so sometime before that, we gotta have the meeting, okay? So you guys coordinate it with Jeff, and then we'll be there.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much for your attendance.
So Jeff, if I could just make contact, so then I could just call as soon as it's
You
resolved,
want this?
then you call me direct, right?
I don't know where you got it.
Yes, we'll email you following the meeting just to notify you of the decision, and we can set up phone calls if you have any questions or anything.
And can I ask one more question, just to be clear? The traveled portion. The traveled portion of the right of way, the traveled portion, which is the odd shaped one. The bylaw is 7.5 meters from that line, correct? Okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
Correct, and that's why I think it's important we really determine exactly where that edge of that used traveled portion is. Because that's gonna be where you have to, so if the committee grants 3 meters, that's where you're gonna have to build from. So if you built 2 meters from the edge of the traveled portion, your building would not be legal and you'd be back before the committee of adjustment spending more money. So I think it's really important we figure that out, just to protect all parties involved.
I agree.
Thank you. We do have one more.
Thank you very much. We'll try and have some coffee the next time. What's it, this the other one?
The next up. Yeah, so I'm gonna bring him forward in a second, just give him a minute. We have another application.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That,
Yeah. Ken wasn't here.
oh, they're video. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you today?
Good, how are you
Better
doing?
than the weather?
It's a little bit chilly down here,
But
but
it's sunny,
it's sunny at least. The rain is gone.
yes.
So what are these people's names? Hubert?
Yeah, that's Hubert, that's Magda, my wife.
Yeah, can you hear us well?
Yeah,
Yes, we can hear you.
Maggie?
Okay.
Okay, great.
Great, thank you.
Magda. We were out at your place yesterday. We didn't see you there, but one of the committee members, Mr. Boyce, and I went and inspected the property. So
Okay,
very nice place you have there.
yes, thank you. We
Thank
love
you
it.
so much.
Absolutely.
Would you
Kind of
like to
you-
give us a quick synopsis on your proposal? And then we'll probably generate some questions out of that, please.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so quick synopsis. So so we bought our cottage cabin actually, I think. In September 2021 during that COVID frenzy. So we actually before doing that, we had 28 offers to beat. So there was quite a war going on, and we won in the second round just by $100 off to the next one, basically. But we didn't do this without, thinking about things. So what we did is actually requested from the previous owner a kind of something to show us that the Bunkie, we know that Bunkies are a little bit contentious in cottage country, actually. Some sort of permit before we seal the deal, and he couldn't deliver that. At the same time, we requested through our lawyer the municipality to issue us something to have a good feeling, actually, that everything is right with the property.
Right, but the owner also mentioned that the Bunkie is small and doesn't need a permit.
Yeah, okay. And
So-
we left it at that, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
letter came in and it was all good.
And then we send a request to the city because we wanted to check if there's anything outstanding on the city side. But then we got a letter assuring that everything looks okay. So basically we purchased the property.
Yeah,
At that time you were purchasing it without any conditions and everything like that. But
otherwise,
that
we would be still looking
we
for
wouldn't
one.
be able to get it.
Yeah.
But after that battle we had, we finally got the cottage and we love it. And we grandfathered everything what is on the property. And we trusted that everything is fine.
And that was the first part. The second part was after a year in, basically, we started thinking about making this cottage at some point bigger, make it more livable, because it's not, people
It's
have
very small,
people
right?
have bunkies which are bigger than
Than the cottage.
the cottage itself.
So it's a very
So we drew up a few plans and how it could look like. And a year ago, financial headwinds were not that strong, but that changed. What a difference a year makes. Anyway, and we applied for a septic permit just to go through the process to see septic review, actually, just to go to see what would be needed. So we submitted to the municipality. An inspector came out, did his thing, and then the report came in saying, yeah, the septic is too small.
for the extension.
For the extension, actually, and the Bunkie sits in the wrong location, and we were like, wait a minute.
We didn't know about that.
That was a kind of surprise. And
Yeah.
then after, a little bit forth and back with the inspector, then with Carl, and then it ended up being with Jeff, who basically proposed to put in a minor variance to get the location legalized. It wasn't erected by us. Again, it was erected by the previous owner. And he didn't care much.
Apparently he didn't. We didn't. know
Yeah,
about
he's a
that.
kind of handyman. He moved 4 or 5 cottages down
He's still on the same lake.
same lake.
They bought a larger cottage because it was too small for them, and
There.
even like they built the Bunkie, he said, for the kids to sleep because it was not enough room in the cottage. Now they're teenagers; they didn't have any more room for them and their friends in summer. So they decided to sell. But yeah, we basically kind of end up
Cleaning up.
inheriting and cleaning up someone else's mess. And right now we really want to put it back. I mean, legalize everything so that we can first of all enjoy our cottage and the Bunkie, because our kids love it too in summer.
They're also teenage, so they need their privacy and
Yeah.
whatnot. At the same time, due to the geometry of the A-frame, there's no space, basically. So
For
we use it
storage.
for storage. So we use it as a storage
Yeah.
to keep our essentials there. And And it's-
Yeah, and another aspect is, we bought it, but we knew that we will have to help ourselves to pay for the property. And we decided to rent it out when we're not there. So we have our cleaners who are going there and clean and store all the materials, cleaning stuff in the banking as well.
laundry, yeah.
The laundry, and we only we use it as a storage, and the kids sleep it in summer, but we really need it. That's something that we really have to stress
Yeah,
out.
it would not function. We don't have any shed
Yeah,
or
we don't have
any
shed or anything like
anything
that.
out there. Yeah, so long story short, we then
We'd like to-
basically
yeah.
went through the process with Adam and
We want to legalize the.
and want to legalize the bunkie and then take the next steps.
Well, I actually don't think we have a problem with your proposal, but are there any comments from any of the neighbors with respect to this on the side yard thing?
So
No,
I'm just gonna go through everything. We did circulate as required and we did receive one letter, but it was from the Dysart Building Department. Just outlining septic compliance issues, which
Okay.
applicants are aware of. So we have proposed a condition that they apply for a septic permit or bring the septic system into compliance. We did not receive letters or comments from any of the neighboring property owners. There were some general inquiries received. But if I may, I want to go through the conditions too, just
Okay,
so that
do
the
that,
applicants and the committee can hear the conditions that are being proposed. The first three are the standard conditions, just to number one, basically states that the variance applies to the private cabin as shown on the property sketch. Number two basically says that the tree preservation bylaw applies, that they can't destroy trees within 30 meters of the lake. Number three is just to make sure during construction, there won't be construction here, but if there is, proper site preparation prior to construction. Condition number four states that prior to pouring of the footings, that the applicant must get confirmation from an Ontario land surveyor that the private cabin meets the interior side lot line setback. So if the committee grants that setback today, it's just to confirm that it meets that setback. Condition number five, prior to January 1st, 2024, the applicant shall submit a building permit application for the private cabin. If the building department says that a building permit is not required, that will satisfy that condition. Condition number six, the owner shall implement and or maintain a 2-meter vegetation buffer between the private cabin and the side lot line. So
We have that.
yeah, this is to ensure that there's privacy for the neighbors. And the way that condition's worded is that it should be implemented or maintained. So it looks like it's well screened. It's just to maintain that vegetation.
Yeah, we do that. This is one of our hobbies now.
Condition number seven, so prior to the pouring of the footings, the applicant must submit confirmation from an Ontario land surveyor that the outhouse meets the 3-meter setback required by the building code. So there's concerns about the location of the outhouse being too close to the side lot line. So that condition is just to make sure it complies with the building code. And lastly, prior to October 18th, the applicant shall submit a septic permit application or bring the septic system into compliance. So this was a request by the building department. I think you've been discussing that with them already. We've just recommended that as a condition.
Do you have any problem with any of those conditions?
Only with the October 18th, because I doubt that we will be able to do something within 1 week. And also it looks like, Adam, we need to find a surveyor just to confirm our measurements.
Unless it was already confirmed.
Unless it's already
because of the
confirmed.
site visit. So
Yeah.
then we maybe.
Go ahead and pass it without the.
The condition that included the October 18th deadline was only to submit your septic permit application. So that's
Yeah, and
application in. It's not to get it approved or anything. It's just to submit it to the municipality.
so the thing is, yes, we're looking a little bit onto, it's still a little bit away, but retirement and, making it bigger or different or whatever. And that septic system is, of course, it's old. It's in its later Middle Ages. And we wouldn't, and this is something we need to debate internally a little bit. We wouldn't update it just to accommodate the bunkie. We would think further about what we really need in the future. So possibly a 4 or 5 one, and that decision we need to make within 1 week. But my only concern is basically also that I've looked at the application form, and it requires a designer to do calculations and whatnot. And I doubt, and if that's part of the application, then I doubt I will get anyone in Halliburton to do that
By 18.
by the 18th. That's my concern.
Okay, Jeff.
So what I was gonna say is the committee can change that deadline of October 18th to give them more time, but municipalities' concerns is, so the septic system does not comply currently with what's on site.
Right.
And I know that this is a deadline that's been imposed by the building department already. So they've asked you to bring this into compliance by October 18th. So even if the committee changes that deadline today, you may still be forced to comply with that deadline to meet the building department's deadline.
Would you want to defer it and give them till the next meeting? Pardon?
Or we could either defer it or change the date.
Well,
Just to give you an extra week or something. I can speak on the septic application. So they're really just looking for the application in, right? You don't have to have the septic done. You're just looking for, and I understand that you got to talk to a licensed installer and get it all done.
Yeah.
And you are on the right path when you say you want to potentially build a 4 or 5 bedroom place. Make sure you put that in your application. You don't really necessarily have to do that right now to satisfy our needs, but to satisfy your own things, you can always amend it later anyway. It's something like if you put in for a 4 bedroom or a 5 bedroom,
Right.
you can amend that later on,
You gotta have a bigger.
but
tank.
get your paperwork done now.
And- And it's all about that paperwork, basically.
Yes.
And the time it needs to be done. So any extension would be appreciated because,
But do you think
a
we
weekend
can
is a
apply?
weekend in between.
Maybe we can apply in the meantime. That's what I'm trying to.
Yeah,
say.
but we have to have the calculations done by someone, which is not us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the calculation that my husband is talking about, that has to be done by someone who is who's gonna
External.
build it.
A licensed septic
Yeah,
installer.
see, so
Mhm. So we can, like, if we apply to, like, if we talk to them today, like, is it realistic that we will get it by next week? I think that's his point. here.
right, exactly,
Mm.
because just getting them on the line and takes sometimes weeks, right? So that's,
We understand that. So Jeff's gonna,
I was just gonna suggest, so we can remove the date entirely from that condition. So in terms of the variance, basically, as long as they submit a septic permit application or bring the septic system into compliance,
Yeah.
they'll comply with their variance. They will have to work with the building department in terms of timelines for getting an application in and bringing. it
That'd be
into
more
compliance.
reasonable.
That
So-
way, it's not the variance, it's
So
more that they have to work with. the building
basically, Jeff,
department.
you're saying they won't get this variance until they do that. But the minute they do that, we could say it's okay, we agree with everything. They won't actually physically get it until they comply with the septic
Correct.
issue. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys understand that?
I was just suggesting that we just remove the date entirely from that condition. So that condition would just read that the applicant shall submit a septic permit application or bring the septic system into compliance. It doesn't give you a deadline.
Mhm.
okay, that's
Okay.
great. And I already talked to Halliburton Septic Pumping at Dave at Eagle Lake about things, so I can get that going right away.
Yes, we're just not
We-
sure. if
We're
we
just
will
not sure again if a week is
get it by
enough,
then.
but
But we're gonna start it right
Yeah,
away
yeah,
as soon as
yeah.
we can.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're willing to do that and you know.
Both sound like fairly trustworthy people, so I think we'll go along with that.
I agree. Good,
Awesome.
thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, we appreciate
I'd
that.
need a
just like
mover
to
and a
say
second.
something quick. The letter from Bree in the septic department, she gave you a date. This variance won't change if we change that condition. It won't change the date on her letter. I just want to make that clear. Like from the building department.
Yeah, but that was basically, yeah, so there are like two reports, one from last year and this one from the lakes surveying, basically septic survey. So what is this, what you're saying,
I
Adam?
think it's the date that she mentioned, that 18th, right? That is in that letter.
She gave you the date of October 18th. That's why we put it in the variance. So I'm saying if we get rid of October 18th off that condition, which is fine, it won't change what they do at the building department. So they
Mhm.
still may make you.
So you may want to reach out to the building department after the meeting and just kind of find out what their deadlines are, because
Okay,
remove it from
separately.
from our documentation here at the committee, but it won't change the deadline that the building department's imposing on you.
I see, I
Separate
see. Okay,
process.
so
You
yeah,
won't-
we will contact them right away after the meeting and see if we can extend that deadline then.
We're good with that?
Okay, will they circle back to you and talk to you about that, or what's the process? Just to understand.
So in terms of, we're the committee today, so staff have recommended a condition that, and we're gonna remove the date from it based on the discussion. The condition is just to ensure that at some point you either get a septic permit or bring your septic into compliance.
Mhm.
My understanding is you've already been issued an order separately from this process with a deadline. So they're gonna have to enforce that deadline. It won't be the Committee of Adjustment or the Planning Department following you up with regards to a deadline. This variance just won't be valid until you satisfy all conditions.
Okay, and
Now that private cabin will still be illegal until you get a septic system
Mhm.
legalized.
So we're good to go?
Yeah, we can still proceed today, so it won't.
Got a mover and a
it's gonna change
seconder?
Things today, but you still should follow up with the building department just with regards to their
Yeah,
process.
we will do that.
You can't change their process.
Okay,
no, but I keep you CC'd, Adam, on that. So on the discussion, like it started yesterday. So.
I need a mover and a seconder. Who wants to be? Chris? Barry? Moved and seconded that be it resolved, the committee's decision with respect to file D13 MV 2023-21 be recorded as follows. A variance to section 3.1D to permit a private cabin to be located within a front yard abutting a shoreline is granted, correct? And the second variance is variance of section 3.1 DV to permit a private cabin to have a minimum interior side lot line setback of 2.5 meters or 8.2 feet, as opposed to the permitted minimum of 4.5 meters or 15 feet is granted. Carried. You're good to go, but you just make sure you contact the building department and maybe you should phone the guy that you bought the property from that caused the problem in the first place to get some money.
That's if things would have gone
Yeah.
south today, I would have definitely do that. But you know, I didn't want to start. We are reasonable people, but like anyone else, we don't like to be fooled.
Hmm.
At the same time, we didn't want to start a war at the lake. You know, this is the last thing we need. This is our area of refuge, and
Yes.
so shall it be.
Yes.
Good.
yes.
Well, you look after that part of it and thanks
Yes.
very much for your attendance and God bless
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Have a
you
great
so
day,
much.
everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
It's been moved by Barry Boyce and seconded by Chris Bishop that this meeting be now adjourned at 12:06. 12:06. The